I would like to introduce to you the next Vice President of America. Put your hands together and get super wild for Mr. Spike Collins!
Come on down!
I don't even know what to say. I'm so taken aback. Did you know? Did you? I didn't. I don't even. I don't even know what to say. This is a momentous occasion, one which I do not take lightly. I thank you, Vermin and Team Supreme, for the confidence you have demonstrated in choosing me to be your running mate for this historic race for the White House. I am honored, and I humbly accept your pick for me to be the Vice President of these United States. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished party members, members of the press, my lovely wife, Mom, thank you for that warm welcome. For those here who do not know me, allow me a moment to introduce myself. I am literally Spike Cohen. I am a husband, a son, a business owner, and a man of strong conviction. I am the host of 2 live weekly libertarian programs, which I use to promote the message of self-ownership and non-aggression around the world. In the first grade, I read 815 books in order to win a school contest and get a free pizza at Pizza Hut. And it was delicious, thank you. Friends, when I think of America, I see a shining city on a hill, which itself is in a valley surrounded by orchards, which are, I suspect, symbolic of something very profound. Very profound indeed. But America is at a crossroads. We are about to face the most important election of our lifetimes. And it is crucial that we, the Libertarian Party, nominate candidates, serious candidates, for president and vice president who will not only win this election, but make positive changes that Americans will enjoy for many generations to come. Now, folks, I, like Vermin, am an anarchist. I do not believe government is fit to exist, but I also realize that as vice president, I will not be able to simply snap my fingers and make government go away. And for that reason, I am willing and eager to compromise as hard as I absolutely need to in order to change government from the inside. As we all know, compromising on principle with sociopaths who want to enslave the world is a surefire way to achieve the changes that we want. And to that end, tonight I am unleashing my bold verbal agreement for an even better America, which builds upon Vermin's 4-point platform of free ponies, mandatory toothbrushing, zombie power, and killing baby Hitler, to create the greatest world any of us could possibly imagine. Now, folks, this does constitute a verbal contract with you, the American people. And I pledge that all of these things will happen in the first 100 days of our administration, or else I will resign and be replaced with Baby Yoda. Number one, eliminating all federal taxes, tariffs, and fees, and replacing them with a lottery, where the winner gets to sign the Constitution and or the face of any politician of their choice. Number 2, also going back in time to kill baby Woodrow Wilson, which ultimately makes killing baby Hitler unnecessary, but we're still going to do that too. Number 3, full legalization of recreational plutonium. That one's actually serious. Number 4, free cheesy bread with the purchase of any federal explosives permit. Also serious. Yeah! Serious, yeah. 5, developing bullets that, instead of harming you, do helpful things like relieve headaches and clear up nasal congestion, thereby finally bending the cost curve on healthcare once and for all. Number 6, requiring... This was a favorite with the team, by the way. Number 6, requiring police officers to sing the Barney theme song to anyone they arrest. Along with their Miranda rights. This is common sense legislation, thank you. And the suspect will have to be released without charge if the arresting officer fails to sing every part of the song in key or in any other way does not portray themselves as a convincing Barney. Number 7, retrofitting your ponies with 20mm Vulcan cannons.
Finally!
Yes. Thank you.
Legit.
Number 8, Waffle Houses on every corner. Now, this policy is a blatant act of cronyism to the Libertarian Party Waffle House caucus, of which I am the head, for purely political purposes. Number 9, impeaching every member of the Supreme Court and replacing them with the janitor. His name is Reginald, and he will be our king. Number 10, this is just a photo of a badger. This is just a badger. Friends, this is a moment that you will tell your progeny about for decades to come. The moment when we chose to be bold and radical. The moment when we separated the wheat from the chafy. The moment when we looked the gift pony directly in the mouth. My dear friends, if you nominate Vermin and myself to be president and vice president, we promise that all of your wildest dreams will indeed come true. Wow. So what are we waiting for? Let's ride our ponies into a zombie-powered future with cheesy bread and badgers for all.
Yes!
Victory, people! Follow us to victory! Victory! Victory!
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Vanguard. For the future Vice President of the United States, Spike Cohen, I am Matt Wright, and together we are traversing the muddied waters of freedom. That just made me feel so dirty to say.
What, the future Vice President of America?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to My America. Welcome to Cohen's America. Imagine when that happens. Can you imagine when bad things happen and everyone goes, well, welcome to Spike's America. Hey, everybody. How are you doing?
Don't blame me. I voted for not Spike.
Not Spike. I voted for the one who wasn't running with the guy with the boot on his head. Now all the ponies are free. My pony business is ruined.
First and foremost, allow me to thank Robert Evelyn Carmichael III for the kava that I am drinking on today's episode.
That name never ceases to... Like, that's impressive to get a drink made by a Robert Evelyn Carmichael III.
I know. You would almost think it wasn't his real name.
Oh. And allow me to thank Krogerick L. Grocery Storenstein for my delicious purified drinking water. Bulavanaka. Presidential drinking water. Vice presidential drinking water.
That's right. And Chief of Staff to the Vice Presidential Kava.
Chief of Staff to Vice Presidential Kava, of course. So Matt, how was your weekend?
Lackluster. I didn't really do a whole lot.
Okay.
I worked. Yeah, that's about it. What about you?
Sounds exciting. I just, same old thing. Went to Nashville, meet some new friends.
Oh, did you go by any good coffee shops while you were there?
Oh, crap. No, and I actually meant to do
God,
that.
you're
No.
just awful. You were just awful.
I know. I'm actually the worst person. I meant to, but then I didn't. No, and I swear that I did actually mean to do that. But yeah, I met up with some friends. Went to see a showing of a documentary about a guy named Vermin Supreme. Got to hang out with him. Went dancing that night, and then got to meet some of my dancing friends in the Nashville area that I've never met before. And then the following night, I was invited to this nice little event with Tom Arnold. Liberty Claus was there.
Nice.
Vermin Supreme, Desiree Lindsay, Mike Shipley was there. Man, a whole bunch of other people whose names: Dave Jones, Matt Crum, Josh. I don't remember his last name right at the moment, but he was there, and just a whole bunch of fun people. Had a lot of fun there. My mom and wife were there too for some reason. And yeah, just having a good time. And then it turns out that Vermin Supreme wants me to be his vice president. And thankfully, I had a 10-point plan, my verbal contract for an even better America that I keep on me at all times. And so it was serendipitous, to say the least, Matt.
Well, it's just really good you had it on you in
That's
this
what
moment.
I'm saying. Yeah. So yeah, no, it was a very good thing. So so this episode is brought to you by the, where are we? Libertarian Party Libertarian Dad Bod Calendar, featuring this sexy vice president right there. The vice president of America right there with his nipples all engorged. And you can have that for the low holiday price of $12, which includes taxes and shipping. $12 right out the door, right to your doorstep or your mailbox or whatever. And you can take that. It's got me. It's got Vermin. It's got a bunch of other people in it, and you can hang it from your fridge or wherever you hang sexy libertarian men in your home. $12. LibertarianDadBod.com. It's also brought to you, of course, by the Libertarian Party Waffle House Caucus, which is, of course, the fastest growing waffle-related, what are we calling it? Waffle-related caucus of the... Gosh, I don't even remember. What are we calling them?
I don't know. You have changed it now like 4 different times. You've changed it from we were the fastest growing food-based libertarian caucus.
We're the fastest food
Now we're the
service-based
fastest growing-
libertarian caucus.
Now we're the fastest growing waffle-based
Caucus. Well, I mean, we're just, I don't know what the Bob's Big Boy Caucus did this week, but as far as I understand, we are the fastest growing waffle caucus and donkey related caucus. And then also brought to you by the Supreme Spike 2020 campaign. And we hope to have your vote in over there in next November. Actually, we need your vote before that, Matt, because we need to get enough delegates to get to Austin and for the Libertarian Party convention and vote for Vermin to be president and for this guy right here to be your next vice president. So we're going to be working on that next few months. Matt?
I'm really upset because my vape just broke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm about to do 2 hours of a show with no nicotine, so that's
no
going to be
vape?
real fun for everybody.
Do you want me to take over while you do you have a backup vape?
I don't know.
Oh my God.
I know. This is going to get real in a minute.
Gonna be really angry by the time we get to our top 13 things. We got some crazy segments here, and we better get them started before Matt loses his mind on a nicotine fit and starts screaming at everyone. Oh no, we're good.
A little bit. I mean, that's not going to last me long, but we'll see what happens.
Well, let's just move fast, guys. So, rapid fire. So, speaking of angry, bitter people who just wish they'd stop. Rashida Tlaib, Congresswoman from Michigan, I believe. She found out about that shooting in Jersey City, New Jersey, where someone killed a bunch of Jewish people, and she was not happy about it. She tweeted that this was heartbreaking and that white supremacy kills, which of course we know white supremacy kills. We here at
And
Muddy
we
Water,
knew that was heartbreaking.
we knew it was heartbreaking. We knew that white supremacy kills, and we knew that we here at Muddy Waters are against white supremacy and just heartbreaking things in general. And but then something funny happened, Matt. It turns out that Congress Lady Tlaib found out. I think I'm saying her name right. That it turns out that the person who killed the Jews in Jersey City was in fact it was two black Hebrew Israelites. They are from a I guess sect of people who believe that they are the real Jews and they hate what everyone else considers the real Jews, such as the Jews, and so they don't like them and they snapped and killed them. And so I'm going to show you how Rashida Tlaib corrected this. That's what she did right there. She just deleted it.
Deleted the entire post.
Deleted it, which is understandable. I don't think you can actually edit tweets. And then here's what she posted after that as a correction. Uh-oh.
No, weird. Did we not get that? Did we not get that overlay?
My understanding was that this was heartbreaking. Anyway, so yeah, she didn't tweet anything else after that and has completely ignored it since.
Yeah, not a word from her about this since it turned out that it was two black Hebrew Israelites that killed the Israelites over there, the Jewish over there in New Jersey City, New Jersey.
Now, again, I understand that she deleted her initial tweet. It was incorrect, and it's insensitive to the people, the victims of the
it's
the
insensitive to the white supremacists.
It's insensitive to the people she blamed. No, it's insensitive to the families of the people who died. That you're blaming it on this thing and whatever. Fine, you delete it. Now, certainly, you put up something that just says, "Oh, I don't know, this is heartbreaking."
Right, this is heartbreaking, and we need to do something about all the division and hatred in this country. No.
Even still blame it on Trump. Trump had some. I heard Trump has some black supporters.
These were obviously Trump supporters.
Obvious Trump supporters.
Obviously Trump supporters.
Obvious Trump supporters. Strike again, guys.
Black Hebrew Israelites who hate Jewish people are obviously Trump supporters.
I mean, they check all the boxes.
Right.
Or you could have, I'm not even saying that she needed to go after black Hebrew Israelites or anything like that. Even just say, hey, still think it's heartbreaking. And I'm correcting something. You don't even have to acknowledge that you're correcting anything. Nope, nothing. It's almost as though she didn't actually care about dead Jews or find it heartbreaking at all, Matt. It's almost as though she really didn't care.
Trying to grandstand.
Almost, just a
little bit. She was just trying to grandstand on the bodies of the dead Jewish people
almost
in Jersey City. That's what it seems like.
It just felt grandstandy on body-y. It felt kind of Jewy body standy grandy. And so that happened. And so we wish her well. Speaking of grandstanding, my favorite activist. Speaking of which,
on the grandstanding on the bodies of
slightly less morbid grandstanding. My favorite activist, Greta Thunberg, got the Time Person of the Year award. Of course, Matt, unavailable for comment were any of the Hong Kong protesters because they were out doing something.
Yeah. I find this one particular. Like, people are like, oh, you can't pick on her. She's a kid. You can't pick on her. She's got autism or she's got selective mutism or whatever. And it's like, yeah, I can, because you decide to parade yourself out there in the public.
Selective mutism?
Yeah, selective mutism. Because her brain don't work well, as she one time said when she couldn't answer a question. And I'm not making fun of her. She did say that, and she said it very brokenly. Because, as they said, she has slight autism and selective mutism.
Her mutism's awful selective.
Real selective. Like, whenever somebody asks her a question that doesn't have a script for. But yeah, she is real good when she has a script and she has a teleprompter, and she's real good when she doesn't have anybody asking her questions, and she can just sit there and say things like, "How dare you?" You have
This is
stolen my
wrong.
childhood.
I wish I had that video. We had this video of Greta Thunberg as a Swedish death metal singer, and it was just,
Oh yeah, we opened with that one week. I remember.
oh
that.
my lord, that was amazing.
That was so good.
I
But
respected her a lot more after that, actually. I shouldn't
But-
even be here. Boom, 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 boom.
but yeah, the people in Hong Kong who are out there daily fighting for their freedoms, fighting to gain what so many of us here in America take for granted, and Greta Thunberg is coming over here on her sailboat and then riding around in diesel trains, eating out of single-use plastic tubs, dipping bread from single-use plastic bags. And
You have to keep your bread clean, Matt. Listen, I remember what it was like being a teenager that's on fire for stuff I believe in, which was mostly weed legalization. But I was on fire for it, as was the weed. That's not true, though. I've always been sober. And so I get it. This is something that means a lot to you. You're going around the world and you're doing all this stuff. I'm not really upset at her because everyone's telling her, hey, we want you to go around the world and talk about this and you're doing a great thing. I'm not really, I'm having a hard time being upset at a 16-year-old who's convinced that she's saving the world. It's the cynical people behind it who intentionally are putting this kid up to face not just legitimate scorn, but also just some bitter people giving her endless ridicule about stuff like her autism or how she looks or whatever. So only for one purpose, so that they can turn around and go, how dare you make fun of this child, and equate anyone giving legitimate criticisms of what she's having to say with those, the worst people that are treating her that way. And it's just an incredibly, it's the whole, put a kid in front of everyone and, subject them to all sorts of ridicule and everything else so that you can use them as a victim. Exactly. And so I just, it's sad. It's sad. And, but she's on the cover of Time, so that's good for her. So speaking of...
she got the cover of Time, and that's because Time magazine has an agenda to push, and none of it does it include increasing the freedoms of people from somewhere else.
Yeah. So, also had a great weekend, or week. Boris Johnson, Matt.
Yeah, Boris Johnson, he did. He actually did have a good week.
He had a great week.
Yeah. Boris Johnson and the Tory party won a massive landslide election in England. And if anybody was paying attention to this even a little bit right before the election were to happen, it was too close to call. They didn't know who was going to win, whether Labour would win or whether the Tories would win. And every poll had it like minusculely either one way or the other.
Right.
Bam, just Tories overran the English government. Most seats won by Tories since 1987.
So the Thatcher years.
Yeah, since Thatcher. Yep.
That is pretty intense. I have to call out this comment. I know we don't usually do that in rapid fire, but Hampion says, he said, "This could get ugly. I couldn't even watch this high quality entertainment without my douche flute."
He's referring to a vape.
Ah, that makes way more sense now.
Yeah. No, he's referring to a vape.
Okay.
Personally, I
just
think
didn't know
I
what
think
he
Hamp
was
is just
expecting.
rubbing it in that he has nicotine and I don't.
Well, it seems like something's coming out of there.
No, I think that was the last hit I was getting out of that one. I think I burned through all of these.
Oh no. Well, then we won't call you a douche anymore. So yeah, the UK. So yeah, Boris Johnson blowing everyone else out of the water. Brexit's pretty. I mean, if Brexit doesn't pass now, then I'm certainly gonna laugh because I mean, we have to get Brexit done. And he did that ad that where he recreates the Love Actually scene. Have you seen that?
The Love Actually?
Yeah, he recreates the Love Actually scene where the guy's holding the flashcard, the poster board, and saying, "Oh, say it's carolers or whatever. Tell them it's carolers." Yeah. So there's this lady watching an ad and saying, "I just wish they'd get this Brexit thing done already." And the guy's like, "Yeah." And then someone knocks on the door, And he goes, who the hell's coming to our house this time? She says, I'll go answer it. And she goes and answers, and she opens it up, and it's Boris Johnson holding a bunch of posters, and it says, tell him it's carolers. And he starts playing a thing where people are caroling. And she's like, it's carolers. And he does, we got to get Brexit done. Anyway, whatever. It was funny. But so he wins this election. Brexit, if Brexit doesn't pass now, it's never going to pass. So it's probably going to pass.
Real quick, I'm sorry. You brought up Love Actually, especially that scene. So for anybody watching this, I'm going to spoil something for a bunch of people here. The guy who plays Rick Grimes in The Walking Dead plays the character who does that. He goes to the house and he's holding up the cardboard and it says, say it's carolers, and he starts playing. And the guy that's on the inside goes, tell him to fuck off. And he's like doing the signs, and it's like, I just want to say that you are the most beautiful woman in the world, blah, blah, blah. This is his best friend's wife. He is doing this to. He is an awful, awful human being. Just terrible. You do not do that to your best friend's wife, to your best friend, nor his wife or her wife. It's almost 2020.
Yeah, don't assume genders here, please.
Right. So, so many people were like, that was such a sweet scene. And I was like,
it's
that guy's
his wife.
An asshole.
It's his best friend's wife. So Brexit probably going to happen.
Right, Brexit's probably going to happen.
Speaking of banging your friend's wife, Brexit probably going to happen, but yeah, the British people, Matt, not very happy at all, as they would say. They're not happy. Well, 40 some odd percent are.
Yeah, I was going to say, it really kind of depends on which British people you're asking here.
A plurality of British voters certainly are. But the rest of them, not so much. And our own Matt Wright was on the scene.
I'm marching because I'm really angry that the Tories have been elected. We're going to lose the NHS. I feel like we're living in there's no compassion in the society. If people want to elect someone like Boris Johnson, who has said horrible, horrible things about so many sort of marginalised groups, I just think it's fucked. It's totally... I'm angry. I'm marching because I'm angry.
Donald J. Trump is now President of the United States. President Obama is the ex-president. And Mr. Trump, for the moment, steps...
We're marching for our freedom and for our country, and for all the vulnerable people who are getting fucked over by the Tories.
For their gracious aid.
I am so sorry to my world. I am so sorry to my world. This is not
I'm sorry
what
to
we
your
want.
world, too. I'm sorry.
We will face challenges.
There's so much potential
but we will get the job done.
for beauty and for devastation. In this
steps
one moment, it's
to
almost
carry out the
incomprehensible that
orderly
they can
peaceful
exist
transfer
right now.
plan.
So
And we are grateful
So
to
close.
President
I think Brexit is a really stupid idea, and I am very worried about what's going to happen. Luckily, there are many options for me as an EU migrant, but I'm even more worried for my Scottish friends who are going to be stuck here on a very small island with a bunch of bigots.
What a
great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald.
All of those not from England, by the way.
One of them decidedly not, but
Yeah,
she
one
was
of them-
sorry for her world. So
Yeah, she's very sorry for the entire world.
I am as well. I'm sorry, world.
And Bass says that apparently I haven't heard the song Layla by Eric Clapton. He spelled it incorrectly, but yes, I have heard the song Layla, and that still is the same instance. Because, hey, do you know what the difference between a baby and a bag of cocaine is?
$1.50.
Eric Clapton would never let a bag of cocaine fall out a window. Yeah. And he took George Harrison's wife. So he's an asshole too.
Yeah, you're not helping, Bass. So we have two types of shows. One that's political and one where like Matt rants about pop culture.
Random pop culture. Yeah.
It's like the most rant, like why I think our last episode, you were mad at Titanic. the entire franchise.
That's because Titanic is the worst movie
No, it
of
is. No,
like
here we
ever.
go.
And it's
Let's
so
see,
bad,
watch.
and
Watch.
it should have never won Best Picture. And if
Why is that?
stupid Academy didn't want it to be the first $1 billion film ever made, it never would have been Best Picture.
That's good stuff. So speaking of Titanic,
Virginia.
Speaking of the biggest disaster ever, in Virginia, state lawmakers, along with Governor Ralph Northam of Michael Jackson dancing fame, have promised Virginians a host of much stricter gun laws as Democrats take full power in the state for the first time in decades, Matt.
Yeah, probably about for the first time since the Tories won this kind of election.
It's just been a 1980s record-breaking type of day.
Yeah. So as we all know, Virginia turned blue a couple of weeks back, and one of the many things that the Democrats have been running on in Virginia, my former home state, which I'm very glad to have left, is very much stricter gun control. One of these laws that they are planning includes, we talked about it a little bit on the show last week, includes making it a Class 5 felony to teach people how to use weapons. We talked about this a little bit last week, but as it says here, the demonstrating to any person the use, application, or making of any firearm, explosive, or incendiary device or technique capable of causing injury or death to persons. Basically, if I teach you how to use a gun,
a weapon.
I am now committing a weapon. Anyway,
not just if I were to show you in my keys and say, "Hey, listen," if I tell like a female friend or something, "Hey, if someone's attacking you, you get your keys and you poke them in the eyeball. That'll fix it." I just committed Class 5 felony. So if you're in Virginia, just disregard all that. Let them do whatever, I guess.
But yeah, so in response to this, what many counties in Virginia are doing, and this is the Commonwealth that I kind of remember living in, are declaring themselves 2A sanctuary cities and or counties. As you can see there, all of the green in that graph are all of the sanctuary counties. The orange ones have pending hearings on whether or not they're going to do it. Blue is no action or status. Red, they rejected it. Yellow, I can't read what yellow says. But if you take a look, there's a green one in the upper right surrounded by some...
It's approved pro-constitutional 2A resolution. So not necessarily a sanctuary status, but, something.
And if you look in the... there's a red county, a blue county, and a green county surrounded by some oranges. Mm-hmm. I lived in that green county, but I lived in the dots where there's no activity or status within that green county. So, that is Manassas and Manassas Park, and they apparently are not going to be doing anything to try to protect themselves. Now, many legal scholars are saying that this is just for show. There's nothing that the counties can actually do. I think that kind of depends on whether or not the localities are going to be willing to enforce it
or refuse to enforce, the state laws. The interesting thing here is that, so you see, I've seen a lot. First of all, I think that this map might be a little. So I have a feeling, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, but that those red and blue states are ones that have most of the population. Is that correct?
Let's see. Yeah, the red and the blue at the top does. The one in the middle, I can't see what county that is, but that might be where Richmond is.
Okay.
That
I was just venturing to guess.
Yeah.
That those are the population
that would be
centers.
where pretty much the heavier populous areas are.
That's what my guess was. So, and I may be wrong, but I mean, so I think it's at the very least, it's a lot. There are a lot more Virginians by percentage that are not being protected than it would look like in this map. But the interesting thing with this is, so, we know of the sanctuary cities and counties when it comes to enforcing immigration laws, where the police are directed not to cooperate with immigration officials. Republicans get very upset about that. Democrats are very supportive of it. When it comes to guns, they flip around. You have this with the sanctuaries for gun ownership. Republicans are very happy about it. Democrats are not very happy about it. And it's an interesting thing because they both use the exact same flip arguments. On immigration, the Democrats say, the cities have the right to, stand up for the rights of the people living in them. And then on the Republican side, they say, no, the federal law trumps all state and city law. And then they flip arguments with that. But yeah, so it's going to be very interesting with this. Now, Governor Michael Jackson, blackface, the only person to impersonate Michael Jackson by going completely blackface.
Yes, he did.
Which is what one thinks of when they think of Michael Jackson.
That's right.
Is shoe polish black.
Didn't Trudeau do the same? Thing?
Yeah, he went shoe polish black to be a freaking Arabian Nights, because that's what they look like.
I thought he did a show where he was like Michael Jackson or somebody.
Oh, I don't know.
I thought he did Michael Jackson. I could be wrong. But yeah, he did do shoe polish black to be Aladdin or whatever.
Yeah, because that's what Aladdin looks like, is just freaking like this shirt black with, red lips. That's Michael Jackson if I ever seen him. But so he has actually has been thinking about activating the National Guard to force these cities and counties to enforce the gun laws.
Yep. The adjunct general of the Virginia National Guard gave a very, very long response to this, which was essentially a very long way. I didn't even put it in the notes because he gave 150 words to say no comment.
Oh, well, good.
Yeah, it was, we will, look at it when it comes about, we have to look at each case, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, he didn't say anything in his entire statement. It was 150 words of no comment.
Of just, I have no comment for this. Right. Well, he wouldn't, because it's not up to him, right? If the governor calls him up, he could, he doesn't have any latitude in whether or not to do what the governor says, does he? Don't know.
No comment.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't either.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So, in defense of this, the Virginia Assembly has proposed a new bill that would result in the termination of any public safety official, which reads law enforcement official in there, who does not comply with state law. So that means if they pass gun control laws that even police officers find to be unconstitutional and do not want to enforce, they will now lose their jobs.
So basically the no good apples law. If there is a cop who is not willing to violate your right to keep and bear arms, gonzo. So there goes
according to Matt Hicks, state adjutants are elected and have some latitude.
Oh, very interesting. That would be fun to watch the governor say, hee, ow, go enforce. And he's like, no. And then the governor says, well, I'm going to have to dress in blackface. And then the lieutenant governor says, oh, I'm sorry, I was busy raping someone. Well, what's going on? Because that just went away. And we're supposed to pretend that didn't happen, that he
how did I not put that in the end of this?
That he forced a woman
We're gonna add
to give him oral sex at the Democratic National Convention.
Right.
And he did something else too, right? Didn't he rape someone else?
Something at Duke University.
Like in the same time, the governor got
at Duke. Duke University, he.
Oh yeah, Duke University did something, and then at the Democratic National Convention,
he raped a girl, and when she said, "Why me?" because she came to him to talk to him about a previous assault that
she had been raped. Yeah.
And then he goes, because I knew you wouldn't say anything to anybody. Yeah, and Justin Fairfax, Lieutenant Governor.
Justin Fairfax.
Yeah, I didn't even put that in the things we forgot about.
Virginians. Don't worry, Virginians. Justin Fairfax will protect you.
Justin Fairfax is going to protect you.
Give him your guns.
If Governor Blackface and
Governor Blackface and Lieutenant
Justin Fairfax is going to be there to protect you in his strong arms.
Governor Blackface and Lieutenant Governor Rape the Rape Victims.
Yep.
Are here to save the day.
That's right. Just
turn those guns in, guys. So, cops are, of course, going to be faced with the dilemma of obeying the new laws passed or losing their jobs. When faced with these options, which decision do you think they're going to make?
They're going to take their jobs. 100% they're taking their jobs. This isn't even a question.
They do this every day. Do you think that every cop goes on the beat and is like, man, I love all these laws I'm enforcing. They're just great. This law, this isn't stupid at all. I'm definitely going to enforce the hell out of this because I like it so much. They do it because it's their job. You know how they say just doing their jobs? That's a bad thing.
Right.
Like we say that as though it's okay. That's actually the problem. They're not out there doing it with vim and vigor. They're doing it because it's their job. They don't have to like it. That's not actually a redeemable feature. And it's probably something people should stop using as an argument. Well, they're just doing their jobs. That kind of makes them monsters. Anyway, so they're going to... they're definitely going to enforce. A handful of people may resign in protest.
But
most of them are going to just do
people are still... There's still going to be police, and it's still going to be the same kids that got kicked out of high school or, couldn't make it anywhere else or got bullied, and then they became a cop because they didn't know what else to
bully
do.
Everyone, yeah.
Right. Hampion says tragic boating incidents are trending in Virginia. That's going to happen. That is going to happen. There's going to be tragic boating accidents all up and down the Chesapeake and all in the Atlantic, off Virginia Beach and
up in the mountains, boating mountain accidents,
different lakes and rivers.
Up in Hot Springs, Virginia, I was on my mountain boat and crashed into the mountain.
Crashed into the mountain.
It sunk down to the bottom of the mountain. Press F. Well, Matt, I have to imagine that everything's okay. We just need to vote Republican, and that'll fix this.
You would think so, except as we are quick to remind you here on this show, Trump, sure, we'll go with Crenshaw too. Crenshaw,
Representative Donald Crenshaw.
Representative Dan Crenshaw tweeted back in August that we should start with TAPS Act, maybe also implement state red flag laws or gun violence restraining orders, stop them before they can hurt someone. You also have Trump, who is a Republican pro-Second Amendment president who has done more to hinder your right to own guns than President Obama.
Yeah. Like a lot more. Like it's not even close.
A lot more.
Like no one can dispute, like on the margins or whatever, that he has across the board. There was actually in some cases, some aspects of gun control, a relaxation of laws by virtue of things, reaching the sunset of their law and not being able to be renewed. And also by the Obama-led ATF relaxed a lot of regulations on bump stocks, assault weapons for Mexican drug cartels. I mean, it was really a bonanza for if you were into guns, especially if you're a Mexican drug cartel again. Now to answer so don't be fooled by, the false promises of the Second Amendment, including from the NRA, because they definitely don't want you to have anything they don't want you to have. Every single gun control law in the books, we say this all the time, was passed with the approval and in many cases the sponsoring and helping of writing of the NRA.
Right.
So now to answer the philosopher from last week, she asked, she said, what do you think are the possible triggers for the boogaloo? But then she also asked where we thought it might pop off, and Virginia.
Virginia's looking like a really good battleground state.
Virginia's looking like a possible.
Virginia is looking like it could just be
territory.
Right.
It could. It could.
Like I'm not gonna say definitively that that's where it's gonna be. That that's gonna be the battleground. That's the Boogaloo. But if you have police officers who are saying, "Look, I have to do this or I'm losing my job," you're gonna have people going, "I don't care about your job."
Yeah. Screw your job. I don't even know you, so why would I care about your job
Right,
more than my ability to defend myself?
You don't care about my freedom. I don't care about your job.
Right. Seems like my
I
freedom.
don't care about the protection that I want to provide for my family. I don't care about the paycheck you want to provide for yours.
Yeah. Now, good news on the front is once Vermin Supreme and I are president and vice president, we're actually going to take your guns and replace them with better guns. That's actually part of the Supreme.
Is this going to be like the buyback programs where I just have to bring you something that qualifies as a gun and you will replace
and you will get like a 20 millimeter Vulcan cannon.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
Yeah, or even like the 30 millimeter
welding
one.
Together random pieces of metal.
That's fine. The goal is to just really get a lot of really good guns out there for free.
Good.
So yeah, if you want to take a pipe and put it on a piece of wood and put a fake trigger on it, and then you go there and you get like some kind of like anti-aircraft missile or something. That's the goal. We know that there will be abuse of the system, and that's a feature and not a bug.
Right.
So something to look forward to there. Speaking of something to look forward to, Matt, it's now time for the Chris Reynolds, personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, anchor call-in moment / moment of spite confusing Matt. And we already started that first part just now, and I'm going to stop it so that we can listen to Chris. So this is our biggest and most special sponsor, personal injury attorney, Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, seen here.
I'm going to top you. I'm just going to get him tattooed right here so people can always see him when I'm on. I'm
going to wear Chris Reynolds makeup on my face to look like Chris Reynolds.
To top me getting a tattoo of Chris Reynolds on my heart.
On your heart. I'm going to get it on my face, Matt. I'm going to get Chris
Reynolds tattooed
Chris Reynolds permanent makeup tattoo. That's a promise, America. So this is we only have one for today, but I bet it's special because it says special. So this is from Chris Reynolds, attorney at law.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds here, coming at you with a little bit of illness, unfortunately, but with the big news of Vice Presidential candidate Spike Cohen and his announcement that he is running, I had to get something out, obviously.
Of course.
So one of the first things that it got me thinking was of all the amazing vice presidents that we've had throughout our country's tenure, which one would be most like Spike? And everyone knows obviously that I'm an Aaron Burr guy. But is he more of a Walter Mondale? Is he more of a Carter? Maybe even a Dan Quayle? I don't know. I would love Spike to kind of give us, if he could mix and match from a couple of the big ones, who he would like to be.
Oh no. I'd like to consider myself a bit of a Coolidge, combined with.
He wasn't ever a vice president, though. Was he? I don't think he was.
Yeah, he was Harding's vice president, right?
Was he?
Or am I completely screwing up that timeline?
Hang on, we have the internet. We can find this out. I didn't think he was.
Starting to sound like a bit of a quail, tell you the truth.
Well, you have the looks of a quail.
Thank you. I have the hair situation of a quail. And I mean like the bird.
Oh yeah, he was vice president. No, he wasn't. That's a lie. That's a dirty, dirty lie. No, I don't think he was.
No?
Man, my timeline is all kinds of screwed up.
Does this include like candidates, people that didn't actually get to be president? Because I'm definitely not a Sarah Palin. I will tell you.
Okay,
that.
so yes, he was the vice president under William G. Harding.
Warren G. Harding.
Warren G. Harding.
Let's see who else. A little bit of.
So, yeah.
Definitely not. Did you say Andrew Johnson?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He fired the entire judicial.
Right. That's right. And he got impeached.
I mean, he did get impeached when he was president, but
he got it. He got away with it.
Bass says you seem like a Gerald Ford, except Spike will have been elected.
I'm not nearly as athletic as Gerald Ford was.
So not the Sandy Koufax that we all hoped you'd be. You're definitely not. You're definitely not. You're definitely not an LBJ.
I have like zest. You know, like the zest that they get from citrus fruit. I have the zest of Spiro Agnew. Right?
Sure.
You're
definitely not a Bush.
No, God, no.
Yeah, you're not a Bush. You're not.
No, I'm not a Bush.
You're definitely not Gore.
God, I
mean, the easiest way.
There are times at Walmart that I feel like a Cheney. I will say that. Like I just want to like blast someone with birdshot, make them apologize to me.
Well,
I wouldn't do it though. Wouldn't do it.
If they got in your line of sight, really.
I'm hunting quail in here. What's going on? Or pheasant or whatever.
I thought it was legal to hunt quail here in Florida Walmarts.
I can't hunt pheasant at the Walmart. Goodness. That's a good question.
That's difficult. I remember years ago there was a
That's
joke
difficult to know if you can hunt at Walmart?
No, well, depends. I mean, in Texas, there was a joke on how do you make somebody obsolete? You elect them vice president because they just sort of disappear after that. You kind of.
I'm looking forward to it. I want to just be left alone. Aaron Burr.
Aaron, like, that's tough.
I only want to inadvertently shoot someone.
I don't see Spike getting so amped up about something that he will challenge somebody to a duel. I could see him challenging him to a snark off, but not like a duel.
Yeah. But my snark is almost as likely to kill as a flintlock pistol from the 18th century. So that's Strom Thurmond. But he was never a vice presidential candidate.
Yeah, he wasn't vice president. He lived for like 400 years, but I mean,
that would
think
be
he was
nice. That would be nice to live a long time.
Yeah.
Live a long time. Yeah. Man. Yeah, I think those would probably be my. Definitely not Truman.
Right.
Definitely not Truman. But that's a good question, guys. If you can think of a vice president or vice presidential candidate that you think I'm like, be sure to let us know, and I will tell you no. Or yes. Actually, I might tell you yes because I don't know. So yeah. So thank you for that question, Chris. I think I tagged you. I wore you up until when they announced me, and I switched over to my name tag here. So because I didn't know what was about to happen. And I had no idea.
I like that you put your name tag on upside down, by the way.
I didn't know I did that. So I went and I hugged my mom, and as I was bending down to hug my wife, who was thrilled, by the way.
She looked super happy.
She's so happy about all that. It fell off, and I just put it back on, but I didn't realize I had it on upside down. I was just focused on the badger, man. I was just focused on the badger.
Right.
So yeah.
Point 10. That point 10 was important.
The point 10.
It was part of your 10-point verbal agreement. Was a badger.
Oh yeah. Point number 10. Yeah, absolutely. And it was definitely important, and I'm glad that I that I got it done. And speaking of getting it done, Matt, my friend.
That was one hell of a workaround to get there. Nice job,
This
though.
is, let me tell you something, Matt. In fact, some libertarians were not happy when, I guess former, he's still governor now, right? Or has the inauguration already happened?
Gone now. I think he's gone. I'm not sure how Kentucky does it, but I think he's done.
Well, recently unelected or de-elected, replaced...
Non-re-elected.
Replaced Governor Matt Bevin had a fun... We're just all having fun weeks.
He had a week. So upon...
Pictured here, having a fun week.
That's... Jesus. Upon leaving office, Matt Bevin, pictured there, with what appears to be something in his mouth.
Yeah.
He restored the voting rights to over 140,000 convicted felons and issued more than 400 pardons. Now, of the 140,000 voting restorations, all of them were granted to nonviolent offenders.
Which is good.
That's good.
We're like
a good majority of the pardons that he gave were also to nonviolent offenders.
Also good.
Both of those, very, very good things.
Those are good things. We're happy so far. The story so far, good story.
Yeah, good story. But he didn't stop there.
Uh-oh.
Matt just, he kept going. And he started off by pardoning Delmar Parton.
Oh, that sounds like a perfectly reasonable person.
Right.
Couldn't have done.
He was convicted of murdering his former lover and stuffing her headless body into a 55-gallon drum at a chemical plant in Barberville in 1993.
Oh.
Yeah, Parton was serving a life sentence in prison. Defense attorneys argued at the trial that there was only a 5 to 10 minute window of time for Parton to commit the crime, and there was no physical evidence linking him to the death. Parton was serving a life sentence, and I must have hit paste twice. But
I wish you hadn't noticed that. We could have just gone through the whole, but with a different intonation.
Right.
We were closing it out. But Matt, that's okay. I mean, he also did pardon, to be fair, Brian Baker, who was convicted with 2 other people for the murder of Donald Mills
and other crimes
in a fatal
2015 home break-in in Knox County. But to be fair for Baker, his family raised $21,500 at a political fundraiser last year for Bevin, and Baker's brother and sister-in-law also gave $4,000 to Bevin's campaign. The other 2 defendants were not pardoned, though. So only 33% of the people who killed Donald Mills got out.
Coincidentally, the 33% that raised
gave him
$21,500 for him.
$25,500 if you count with the brother and sister.
Oh, that's in addition to the $21,500?
Yeah, I believe that's in addition to. Everything that I read had those 2 numbers separate, so I'm assuming that
it's $25,500.
It's $25,000.
I mean, if it had only been $21,500, I might have understood.
Right, then then that's meh. But
$25,500 is
right. That's a number that's higher than $21,500.
But it seems like it's going to get better, Matt, because he did pardon Micah Shodel, who was sentenced last year for 23 years in prison for
raping a 9-year-old child. To which Bevin wrote that Shodel was convicted of a heinous crime based only on testimony that was not supported by any physical evidence, and he added that he does not believe the charges against Mr. Shodel are true.
Well, that's good.
I would hope not. If you're pardoning the guy, I hope you're not going, I think that this guy just raped a 9-year-old and
I'm going to let him go.
I'm just going to let this one off.
Former Governor Bevin pictured here not believing that the charges against Mr. Shodel are true.
Right. Now, if I'm correct, I'm actually going to look this up really quick.
Okay.
I believe that Micah Shodel. I believe he had a video go viral where he was talking to somebody about it. I believe that's who that is.
Oh, goody. Matt Hicks, top fan, Matt Hicks. Super fan, Matt Hicks. The rebound for my egg timer, Matt Hicks, said that Bevan looks like a messed up Bruce Campbell, and that's Hampy Yonce recommended the term outcumbent governor to describe he's the outcumbent. His cumbency is no longer in.
Yeah, so according to this, okay, so he's not the guy who had the video go viral. He must not have pardoned the guy whose video went viral.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a bright spot in the story, I guess. We can be thankful for that, Matt.
We can be thankful that he only let one pedophile rapist out.
Yeah, I mean, so to be clear, we haven't looked at the evidence, and who knows, maybe he saw something, and we certainly talk about the fact that a lot of people get railroaded in the justice system, and that could very well be the case. You don't know. I will say that the one where they gave him $25,000, and
that one, and he didn't pardon the other two.
He didn't pardon the other two.
Right. Now, just looking at this basic case case report from the North Kentucky Tribune.
Right.
The victim was interviewed at the North Kentucky Children Advocacy Center, where she described in detail the sexual assault she endured at the hand of Shodel. She received a report from a middle school student that Shodel had repeatedly sexually assaulted her beginning when she was 9.
And then he let him go.
Let him, yeah.
That doesn't sound like the Shodel I know.
Yeah, that's not the Shodel that Matt Bevan knows, definitely.
Matt Bevan knows a kinder, more gentle Shodel. That is
And they said that Shodel actually testified on his own behalf and was unable to
convince a jury that he didn't molest a 9-year-old.
Right. So Matt Bevan, as Chris Reynolds said, this is where sovereign immunity goes poorly. Yes.
Yeah.
And the dude is upset and bitter about the fact that he lost a very close election that many people blamed on libertarians. To which I say, if this guy is willing to pardon murderers and rapists, do you really want him in office anyway?
Listen, every other Republican in statewide office won their seat, except him. Maybe it's him. So speaking of just a series of horrors, we aren't 100% sure, guys. This might be our last episode of the year. I hate to say that, but the problem is next Tuesday is Christmas Eve.
Right.
And the Tuesday after that is New Year's. And
somebody has plans for both
if I know my situation, I already have plans for those times because I probably have plans for those times. I don't know if I have plans for those times.
Oh, I will be sitting wherever.
I will be made to know soon if I have plans for those times. If I don't, we'll be doing some special holiday episodes of the Muddy Waters of Freedom. But just in case we don't,
if we do a Christmas episode, well, one, I need to know because I need to make sure that I pack it. But I have a very nice Christmas robe that I'm going to be wearing on that episode.
Perfect. That's perfect. And I will be wearing, of course, a stocking boot now that I'm Vermin Supreme's vice presidential candidate. That seems appropriate. Seems
And
appropriate.
I will be showing off the massive lack of chest hair yet again if we do a Christmas episode.
That looks really good and not uneven at all.
Right.
But so for the so just in case this is our last episode for the year, we put together a little feature here that we call the top 13 stories of 2019 that we've already forgotten. This is fairly self-explanatory. These are 13 stories from 2013 that we have already forgotten. But that we liked. It didn't really take a lot. That pretty much explains what it was.
Now, I came up with this idea a couple of months ago, and I was trying to figure out different stories. And luckily, we keep very extensive show notes. So I was going through, being like, "Oh, I totally forgot that happened. Huh? I wonder whatever happened with that. We never did any follow up, and neither did anybody else because otherwise we would have done it."
We would have covered it if it was being covered. We would have covered it, and it was not covered.
In some of these stories, I remembered them happening, but it was amazing that it was within this calendar year. Much like number one on our list, the longest government shutdown in American history happened in 2019.
This has been a long year, folks. It didn't feel like it, I know. It certainly didn't for me. And yet, remember the longest government shutdown in American history? That was this year.
That was this year. That ended in February.
That wasn't 2017.
Mm-mm.
That was this year. This year's when that happened. That was literally
I
this
believe
year.
that actually started shortly before or after Christmas last year.
Yeah.
And it ended
in February.
Of
this year.
It was like 49 days, I believe.
So it started less than a year ago from today and ended 10 months ago. So number 2. Oh, by the way, usually on a countdown.
Oh, yeah, Jacob LaBelle. I remember I called it. Yes, you did. You were.
Oh, that's right.
I wonder if I still have that somewhere. I have the bets written.
He was like to the day, right?
Yeah, he was really close to the day.
He was like, yeah, on February 12th at 8:32 a.m. Central.
Eastern Standard
Time. We're going to... Well, he'd do Central because he's in...
well, that just makes him wrong.
He's in Noah's stand. Well, I just got back from Central Time, and me getting back from Central Time, guys, is why this show is late. Because I'm like, oh, that's only 9.5 hours back. I'll be back by 7:30. There's no time zones. So, because I'm smart. By the way, so the countdown usually starts at, for example, 13 and then goes down to 1. We're not doing it that way. We're going to count from 1 to 13 because I'm really smart. So number 2, of course, is the Venezuela upheaval, which, again, happened this year.
Yeah, happened this year.
Where, you know that thing we've been talking about for 17 years? That happened this year.
That happened this year. The U.S. was back in the other socialist. The not as socialist.
The kinder socialist.
The nicer socialist. The U.S. was backing him, and the world seemed like it was kind of pairing off for World War III, picking teams for what would later be called the Allies and the Axis of Evil by the people who won.
Right.
That was this year.
And now it's still kind of ish happening, but yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what happened with that?
It's still kind of Maduro is still there. The other socialist, Guaido.
Mm-hmm.
Guaido. He's still there. I think there's a little bit of a stalemate. I am certain that dissidents are being quietly murdered all over.
I was gonna say, is there an official president there as of yet?
Well, it depends on who you ask. So
that's kind of okay. So it's where we left off.
Yeah, it's where we left off. If you ask the U.S. and their allies, U.S. government and their allies, it's Guaido. And if you ask
Russia and their
Russia
allies,
and them, they say Muroski. And so number 3, of course, Tide Pods.
Tide Pods.
Another
Remember
thing
when
that hadn't that been happening for 10 years now?
Yeah,
Didn't that start with Gen X?
The kids were eating the Tide Pods.
Eating Tide Pods.
They had Gronkowski from the Patriots, formerly of the Patriots, doing PSAs about please don't eat Tide Pods.
Eat laundry detergent.
Right.
Please.
Yeah, that was earlier this year.
That was earlier this year.
I mean, that felt like that was easily 10 years ago.
That felt like that was back when I didn't realize I was technically a millennial and I blamed everything on millennials, and then I had to kind of shift and change to blaming the Zoomers, Generation Z. Yeah, Tide Pods, that happened this year.
Yep.
So then we have
the greatest hoax of the year also happened this year, but we talked about it so much and it became such a pop culture phenomenon. Dave Chappelle talked about it. It was
we're talking
Saturday Night Live talked about it. It made
Juicy
it
Smollett.
Jussie Smollett. It made it almost seem like it happened so long ago because it became it had just become the biggest pop culture like reference.
Some of our most popular memes on Muddy Waters Media are all related to Juicy Smollett. Some of my favorite ones that I've made were either Juicy Smollett or R. Kelly, but especially Juicy Smollett. So, Jussie, for those who don't remember, Jussie Smollett, I don't even remember how to say his name correctly now. Jussie Smollett, I think. Juicy Smollett was an actor.
Jussie Smollett.
Jussie Smollett, yeah. Was an actor on Empire who said that in the freezing blizzard temperatures, negative temperatures of downtown Chicago, two white men with MAGA hats recognized him as a racist MAGA hat wearing homophobe who wants to kill a gay guy, would know the gay guy from or he said, or what was it, the F word, N word from Empire, because they definitely know all about the cast of Empire
because they're watching Empire, and he had bleach thrown on him. And
so to get rid of him, they poured a little bit of bleach on him just to splash him a bit, and put a noose around him, but just a little, and then they ran away into downtown Chicago. Southside Chicago. Well known for lots of white men with MAGA hats roaming around looking for F-word, N-words to take out.
Because he went, if I remember correctly, he went to a Subway at 2 a.m.
For a sandwich at 2 a.m. in negative 13-degree temperatures.
Decided to walk.
This was the story the man came up with.
Mm-hmm.
So he definitely doesn't have a future as a writer, or a playwright. So we, when this happened, we tried to be very sensitive. I remember we had, that was the Bear Down episode with Joshua Smith.
Yep.
And we were all trying our best to say, well, if it happened, that's terrible, and we certainly don't, and still don't. We don't endorse assault for any reason, any aggressive assault for any reason, especially not, giving someone a hard time because they're black or they're gay or whatever. We are completely against that. There was just something that sounded a little off. And like Dave Chappelle said, everyone was shocked that black people weren't supporting Jussie. But they were supporting him. With their silence. They were very much supporting Jussie by just hoping Jussie would shut up.
Right.
So my understanding is the FBI is still investigating. I think he's actually going to be charged with something. Like, that didn't go away for him. It's just kind of died down a little.
Yeah, so I remember that Chicago dropped all the charges, and he had to pay the salaries of everybody that was working on that case.
Yeah, they dropped the charges
from Empire.
But then one of the DAs was like, well, yeah, we still think he did it. So it's actually, which made it illegal because they can't just drop charges because someone pays something without it being adjudicated in court. You can't just say, oh, well, we like him. So I don't remember everything that happened with that, but yeah, that story technically is still going on, just not quite as white hot as it used to be. But that brings us, of course, to number 5, Blexit, Exodus, and Walk Away. I would like to talk about Jexodus for a minute.
Real quick, before you get into Jexodus, when I was going through all of our old show notes and I just saw one that said hashtag Jexodus, I laughed for like 5 minutes and I said, I don't even care. That's going in this list.
Jexodus. Here are the two things that have annoyed me a lot recently. And as vice president, I will definitely be addressing with the kind of force that one can muster as both the vice president and the president of the Senate. Two things. One is Matt and a few of my Semitic friends sharing with me their exploits of going to their Costco's to get the Blue Valley Bay or Blue Hill Bay.
Blue Hill Bay.
Honey
maple.
Oh God, it's been so long I don't even remember. Oh, honey maple smoked salmon, and showing me how they have lots of it and they just eat it whenever they want to, and I can't.
Almost had some for this show today
because Costco hates this Jew, and is about to learn what that's going to do for them. That will definitely. All options are on the table for Costco. That annoys me, and the other thing that annoys me is Jexodus. Jexodus. Why don't you just call it Exodus?
Yeah, isn't it the same thing?
Exodus implies Jews. That's what Exodus was.
That's right.
When the Jews left Egypt to wander in the desert, which is kind of an apropos thing. So the Jews are leaving the Democratic Party to wander aimlessly among the Republicans. Why Jexodus? Blexit makes sense. It's a play on Brexit, British exit. This is black exit. Walk away is just kind of straightforward. Walk away from the Democratic Party. Okay.
Right. You're still seeing reports on walk away and a little bit on Blexit. You don't really see Jexodus anymore, but you're not seeing it like it once was. It's not let's leave. Now everything's kind of been inundated with impeachment and
Jexodus.
Yeah, Chris Reynolds is saying that's unnecessary.
It's entirely unnecessary. If you said the Exodus, oh, you mean like with the Jews, right? Right? Huh? Yeah. Moses was likely a Jew, I'm pretty sure. Exactly, Chris.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet. Willing to bet that Moses was a Jew.
Hamp Yance says Costco is getting disrupted under Supreme Cohen admin. I don't want to say they're getting disrupted. I don't want to say they're not, though. I don't want to say they're not. I want to say that they should just maybe consider who they're dealing with. That's all I'm saying. Just consider who you're dealing with, okay?
Surprised you went with that photo. I mean, it makes sense for the tagline, but I really thought you were going to use the giraffe one.
Well, I don't have that in OBS already, or I would have, because you're right. That is like that picture's just adorable. Like, and that is badass. Let me go ahead and pull that. Yeah, I sent that. So this photo I'm about to show. By the way, if you're watching this, really, if you watch our show, it's best to get it in video at this point because this is a video.
If you're only listening, you mean?
If you're only listening, you're gonna miss out on some stuff. But I got to take essentially the coolest photo ever over the weekend, and Matt's jealous as he should be. I got to take that photo. So yeah, that's who you're messing with. Namely the giraffe. Anyway, so that happened. So Jexodus happened. They must have Jexed backed because then we didn't hear about it anymore. So number 6, of course, is AOC not knowing what a garbage disposal is. This I do believe happened this year because that was just stupid as hell. And I do remember
that definitely happened this year. We were lucky enough to. I can't remember where I got that video. I don't remember if I pulled it off of Instagram or if I pulled it off of YouTube. But she was freaking out because she had no idea what a garbage disposal was.
What is this? What even is this? I'm scared. And then she was like, is this environmentally sound? And it was like, lady, it's a garbage disposal.
Garbage disposal.
Like, okay, so let me check my privilege. Okay, I am running for vice president alongside an ANCOM, so let me check my privilege and let me just, I have to think this is not someone who got here from a marginalized developing country. Okay, this is a woman who went to, was it Boston University?
Yeah, I believe so. It was either Boston University or Boston College.
She lived in the Bronx. Boston College. She's well educated. She's been places and learned things. There's this, right-wing media stereotype where they kind of play up on her being a bit of a ditz and whatever, but she actually does know stuff and actually has experienced quite a few things, especially for someone her age. You've never heard of a garbage disposal?
In all fairness, though, you thought that ramen was pronounced ramen.
But I knew what it was.
That's true.
If she had said garbage disposal or something like that, I'd be like, you didn't know it was disposal? She didn't know what it was.
That's true. No, you
imagine if I looked at ramen noodles and said, why is Rand Paul's hair in my plate? Waiter, Rand Paul's hair's in my plate.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that. I'm glad that you went with Rand Paul instead.
I mean, there's a few. Oh, yeah. No, she's been beat up enough. She's had enough. She's had a poo-poo enough year. That could have been number 14, but we won't do that. But yeah, I mean, oh, that would have been way funnier though. Yeah. So you don't know what a garbage disposal is, so that was a fun one. Number 7 is E. Jean Carroll.
Now, many of you might be asking, who is E. Jean Carroll?
Not only have I forgotten this story, Matt, I've forgotten even who that is. That's what they say.
Yeah. Now, E. Jean Carroll accused Trump of sexual assault and or rape in order to promote a new book where she talked about it. She hasn't brought it up ever, but she did put it in a book, and then she talked about it a lot. She didn't talk about it when he was a alleged billionaire or when he was a TV show host or running for president.
Yeah.
It was after 3 years of him being president that she writes a book about it, and then it's like, no, you need to believe me.
Listen, shades of Juicy Smollett. If this happened, it's terrible.
50 Shades of Juicy Smollett.
50 Shades of Juicy. If this happened, it's terrible. Okay? We at Muddy Waters Media, very, very against rape, sexual assault, even just being grabby. I guess that's technically sexual assault. We're against it. No, but I mean like unwelcome grabby, not like, hey. And then she's like, hey. Not like that. Right. Not like, wink, wink, nod, nod grabby. I mean like, I don't mean like, hey, baby, it's cold outside. Oh, well, I gotta go anyway. But I mean like, baby, it's cold outside. Let me go. It's actually summer. So we're against that. And if this happened, that's absolutely terrible. And we will never know because there's no proof as far as we know. And it just, she is saying that he did it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. A few people have accused him of stuff. His own wife said that he did during their divorce trial. So we don't know.
Not the new one, the old one.
No, because she hasn't divorced him yet. But yeah, we don't know.
I threw in a yet.
Yeah. Speaking of not being divorced yet, the smirking kid.
The smirking kid.
Smirking kid.
The smirking kid from Matt Bevin territory.
The white supremacist hate Nazi smirking.
The smirking kid. Yeah, he
smirking kid.
He and a group of schoolmates. Like, I remember this being this year, and I remember this breaking the internet.
Yeah,
because there were a bunch of awful Nazi white supremacist 15-year-olders that were in DC, harassing everybody that was around them and harassing a group of Native Americans who were protesting something. And they there was a video and a picture of the smirking kid went viral, and everybody said that he was evil. And then,
what it looked like was a Native American being surrounded by a bunch of white smirking kids, including one that was really close to him, smirking at him, and it looked like they were surrounding him, and they were chanting and making fun of him, and he was just bravely banging on his I'm not sure what kind of drum it's called, and doing a tribal chant, and it was like, oh wow, they're really just being rough on him. Turns out the longer video shows that these kids they were waiting for their bus at like the Jefferson Monument or Washington Monument, one of the Lincoln Memorial, something like that. Yeah, in front of one of the things, and there were some black Hebrew Israelites, or as Rashida Tlaib likes to call them,
white supremacists
who kill. They were there screaming because they mostly hate Jews, but they hate white people in general. And so they were screaming at the white kids and calling them gay. And there was, I guess, one or two black kids that were in the class with it, because there were some black kids in the class, and they were getting screamed at too and being called all sorts of slurs. And the native guy says that he went there.
Nathan.
Oh, Nathan. With a G, I think. Anyway, Anyway, so he went up. He said to diffuse tension, but he kind of went up in front of this kid who's being screamed at by a bunch of people wearing robes and threatening him, while all the adults are gone with getting the bus, which was really a genius move for them to do. And this guy walks right up to him and starts, banging his drum and chanting, and this awkward teenager smirked.
And the kid, the kids were kind of like chanting along with it.
Once he started doing the thing, they started chanting with it, yeah.
Right, they started chanting along with it, but, they're 15, 16-year-old kids. And he went right up into the one's face who, if you watch the full video, he's just sitting there, and you can just see he's feeling very awkward about the entire thing, but he just had a smirk on his face. He had a resting smirk face.
He had I'm not sure what's going on right now. I'm going to give the most non-threatening face I can. And people have these little clips of where the smirk looks a little smug or whatever, and it's like he was literally just like that. So that was a very interesting example of how media can take a snippet from a full story and turn it into something else entirely. And it's kind of scary that they have that ability to do that.
Right.
Now, here was a story that was not even remotely up to interpretation of what exactly happened. And that, of course, is the New Zealand mosque shooting, where been great if I had written down some notes of what this person's name was, but he went to the two mosques
in New Zealand.
And I made the mistake of watching that video.
I watched it as well.
And there's a point where you almost forget it's real because it looks like a first-person shooter.
Yeah,
because of how he had the GoPro and everything.
Yeah. He filmed it specifically to look like, or at least it seemed.
It looked like Call of Duty, and you're watching this because it went on for a long, long time, and then you at times remember this is an actual thing that's happening, where he's actually just systematically, calmly killing all these people. It was horrific, and then he drove to another place and shot at them and then drove off, and he's now being charged with murder. But that happened this year too, and that was horrific.
That was horrific. That was awful to watch. I remember watching that video, and you had like some sense of detachment watching it because it does feel like you're watching a video game. And then when you realize that you're not, that's when it kind of clicks, and it's like, oh man, I just watched him murder a lot.
It was absolutely crazy. Patricia Snell Cohen, my mother, said maybe he was just practicing not rolling his eyes. I'm gonna assume that you're referring to Smirking Kid and not the New Zealand mosque shooter.
I would hope.
One would hope that the woman who raised me, whom I love, and who loves me, was referring, in fact, to the Smirking Kid.
Right.
Not just because that would match that story a lot more, but also because it really wouldn't match the shooting one.
Right.
So,
but
yeah.
Speaking of people with resting something faces.
Then we have, what's next? Oh, yes. Yes. Alyssa Milano saying she's not going to have sex with her husband and calling for other people.
Abortion laws were overturned.
Until all of the, I think, one anti-abortion law was overturned. By the way, I came up with
that was the
celibexit, by the way, which is much better than Jexodus. How about Sexodus? That would be an example of
better.
That would be an example of adding a letter to Exodus and it making sense to even have to do it in the first place.
Right.
Saying Jewish Exodus is like saying Jewish smoked salmon. I had a couple other things I was going to give examples of, and I'm not going to because I'm running for vice president.
Jewish smoked salmon.
Jewish smoked salmon.
The salmon that I eat is for everybody. It's not just for the Jewish people.
It's for everybody, but it is prepared lovingly by my people. In Brooklyn, I think. Yeah, that's made in Brooklyn, I think.
I don't know.
It's packaged in Brooklyn. Yeah, so she said, I'm so upset about abortion laws that I'm not going to have sex. I'm going to be celibate. And then that way, and all the other women should also be celibate if we're pro-choice. And that way we don't accidentally get pregnant, to which the pro-lifer said, this is exactly what we wanted. Thank you.
Right. This is what we've been teaching.
This is what we wanted you to do.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Yep. And then immediately upon realizing what she had called for, she said, no, women, you own your bodies. Go out there and be sluts if you want.
Calling for
I am all for. Go ahead, ladies, do it.
A vagexodus, if you will.
I think that's just an abortion.
Supreme Spike 2020, folks.
I'm not running.
Vagexit. Oh,
Vagexit. Wow. Oh, number 11.
Number 11. That brings us to number 11. Which, speaking of aborting, when Iran aborted the American drone.
That's right. When we were so close to World War III, with once again after New Zealand, or sorry, not after Venezuela.
After Venezuela and
after
North
Venezuela,
Korea.
Suddenly the Iran shut down one of our robots, and World War III looked like it was about.
That was going to start a war because Iran shot down a robot over their own territory, or now, possibly like 5 miles. So there was a disagreement. The U.S. says, "Oh, it was 5 miles outside of your territory," and Iran said, "No, it was however many miles inside."
Right.
Because God knows if Iran was flying drones 5 miles off the shore of the U.S., they'd just stay there. They'd be fine with that.
Now, if I remember correctly, and anybody can go and fact check this if they want. I'm not saying this is definite.
Please
fact,
do.
But I believe that we said nothing was going to come of that.
We always say nothing's going to come of this.
Right. I believe that we said that we weren't going to go to war. I believe that we Yeah, I believe that we call. I think we called that one exactly how that one ended.
We call all of these exactly. This is why you need me as your vice president. If anyone watches this show,
this is why you just need us as your news source, but
and vice president, and because if you watch this show, here's what you get: 2 almost uncomfortably attractive men. Just amazing witty humor, wholesome humor.
What Jackson is.
And then also what you get is dead accurate predictions, sometimes years in advance, up to 3 years in advance, because we've been on for 3 years, up to, on everything. Very rarely are we not completely right. And we will even say, we're calling this is what's going to happen. And then that's exactly what happens. Now, to be fair, we often are correct by taking the absolutely most cynical view possible. And it rarely fails us.
Yeah, the cynical view has really worked out.
It's just really I'm feeling good about it. The almost existentialist / nihilist view of just like, it's going to be the worst thing, and it doesn't even matter.
But see, we haven't actually bet on the worst thing every time. A lot of times we bet on nothing. It's just a lot of talk and brinksmanship is what we bet on.
That's a good point. So not necessarily the worst, just the most cynical.
We're going to go to a nuclear apocalypse. It's that we're betting both sides are going to talk about it, and then one day it's just going to go away, and we're never going to hear about it again.
Which is what always happens
with Iran. Like even with after they shot down our robot, they took over a British tanker ship, and then something else happened, and yet nothing.
Do you know why nothing's going to happen? Because no one actually wants to go to war.
That's right.
The U.S. doesn't want to go to war with a country that has. I mean, it's a much. You look at Afghanistan's population. You look at Iraq's population. Iran's on a completely different level. They also have a lot more resources. Iran's a relatively wealthy country in that region. The U.S. doesn't want that. And Iran either already has or soon will have nuclear weapons. The U.S. definitely doesn't want that. That's why they put up with all the from North Korea. They would never put up with that from a country without nuclear weapons. They would have already brought liberty and democracy to that country long ago. And so that didn't happen. Speaking of a thing that didn't really happen, Matt Wright.
This 100%. This 100% really happened.
No, listen.
Thank you to a poll from our lovely viewers and listeners.
Listen. I just want you to pretend for a second.
I can't believe you found that.
Okay. So some Russian agency has like all of our Facebook information now because Matt submitted our photos to this. Right. What would I look like if I was a whore app? And so
59% of our viewers voted for me.
Wait. Don't look at the numbers. I encourage you, our intrepid viewer, whom I love personally, to not look at the numbers. Look at my hair.
Look at my eyes.
Look at
my eyebrows.
Look at my eyes. Look at me.
You, as I stated back then, look like you're given $5 BJs in back of the trailer park. I look like I'm going to a modeling show.
Okay, well, first of all, a lot of sleepers do that. And second of all, I've done some research on this because you tried to pull this on me while I'm out of town. And I'm like, listen, I always knew something was up here and I figured it out. This is Illuminati stuff. Okay? You don't actually think Matt looks better. Okay? The evil eye or the watchful eye they call it over in Bohemian Grove or wherever they cooked up this cockamamie idea that Matt looks better than me
I like how you went that way instead of doing it from the lips up to the eyes.
No, this is way better.
Okay.
The I mean, listen, this is elementary stuff. Okay? Elementary stuff.
Chris Reynolds says Spike is take home to mom cute, and that Matt is one night stand quality.
Thank you.
Your mom says that you are the daughter she never had.
Vermin Supreme looked at these photos and said, "Oh, I know what I want. I know what I want." That's all I'm saying.
Did he look at those photos?
Yes. So, speaking of...
So, before we get to the last one, we had some people... We had Chris Reynolds throw in a couple. The Women's World Cup, which I believe the U.S. won. We didn't report that. We didn't report that on this show, but I believe that's what happened. The Area 51 raid. That was only a couple of months ago.
Oh yeah, let's bomb. Let's raid Area 51. They can't catch us all.
Right. Sri Lanka. The Easter Sri Lanka thing.
Yeah. The big attack in Sri Lanka. Yeah.
The Notre Dame Cathedral, which I'm a little upset that I missed when I was going through, but yes, the Notre Dame Cathedral burnt down.
Oh, it did. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it burnt down, and there were, of course, the people who were sure that this was because of that Islam. The person named Islam decided to take down the Notre Dame Cathedral because I don't know if you knew this, Matt, but there are some Muslims in France.
That's right.
It couldn't possibly be what it turned out to be, which was just like electrical thing or something.
It was a problem, like one of the contractors had an electrical issue that I don't know, like
it was like stuff that happens to old wooden buildings. It couldn't possibly be that. It's definitely the religion that's been around for 1,300 years and suddenly decided to destroy the Notre Dame Cathedral. And then the people that got mad that people raised money to rebuild it, and they're like, why didn't you give that money to whatever I would have wanted it to go to instead?
Hurricane Dorian was this year.
Oh yeah. Well, that was I feel terrible for anyone who lost anything to Dorian. But I had a fun with that because I was in the mountains in outside of Atlanta, and I went to this really cool bar mitzvah of my cousins, and then I got to hang out at a pool at a house up in the mountains, and then we went to the aquarium.
That's when you went to go get the cookies.
Yeah, and we got the cookies. My wife got the cookies she likes. She got to go to the zoo. It was like a lot of fun, and I'm hearing about all this terrible stuff with Dorian. And it turned out not to be... It was really bad in the... What was it? Bahamas, right?
Yeah.
That was where it did like the real severe damage, but the U.S. didn't really get it that bad, and I got to have a really awesome 10-day long vacation out of it. So mixed feelings there.
And then we also had Aunt Becky from Full House paying to get her kids into college.
Admission scandal, yeah.
The admission scandal, and I believe she is getting ready to go to prison. I'm not even 100% sure on that one. I kind of stopped following that story because, personally, I didn't see that she did anything wrong.
It's the way she went about it. If you had just said, I'm going to stroke a check for the such and such wing, and then you let my kid in. But she did this faking that her daughter was in a rowing team, kayaking team, or some ridiculous thing. So I get the anger, because what happened was she actually did rob someone else of an opportunity, someone who had devoted their life to kayaking, only for frickin' Aunt Becky to have her Instagram thought kid steal your place in the in the admissions, and she's all like, right. Oh, I'm so happy, oh my gosh, so happy, this is my ass. Couldn't see it, but
yeah, I was gonna say you didn't show us anything, man.
I am not that flexible, but it was there, Matt.
Apparently also very sad news, Dewlap Nelson has not been fed the future chair of the Libertarian Party, Dulap Nelson, has not been fed.
Oh no. Well, here's the thing, guys. When I am vice president and Dulap is the chair of the Libertarian Party, we're both going to be getting as much leafy greens and bananas and mangoes as we want. Or there's and meat and smoked salmon for me. I don't know if iguanas are herbivores, right? They don't eat meat.
I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy.
All right. Well, if they do, then Dulap would also be getting smoked salmon. But you got to be careful because there's a lot of salt in it. But that's just, it's not right. And this is what this can't be tolerated in a libertarian society. So it's certainly, we're not going to let it happen. Sarah Tonin Brandon, top fan Serotonin, mentioned that last but not least, Matt and I met in person last month.
That's true.
And it was magical.
It was magical.
We met in the Myrtle Beach airport bathroom. True story.
Yeah, that's how that happened.
True story.
But yeah, the reason I came up with this was a couple of months ago, or a month ago or so. I noticed that there was this story that had mysteriously just kind of gone by the wayside, even though it had been huge news and everybody was talking about it. And then one day we just stopped.
Yeah.
But thank you to all of the internet trolls out there on Facebook and Twitter and
wouldn't let it die.
4chan, and brought it back to life and wouldn't let it die, rendering that one useless. Was Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
That was the story that really sparked the idea to do this. But you guys brought that one back to life.
And it has been going on for like 2 solid months now, with no end in
It was
sight.
almost as soon as I had the thought, the internet blew it up.
Everyone was thinking the same thing. Excuse me, what about the billionaire pedophile who had all of the most powerful people on earth go to his pedophile island and was on trial and in the most secure prison, supermax prison in the country? And also the camera was out and the guards weren't looking when he killed himself, despite the fact that they kept everything away from him that he could have possibly used to have killed himself, and despite the fact that his own family said that he was in high spirits about fighting the trial, and then he killed himself. And we all joked about the fact for freaking months when he was arrested that he was going to end up killing himself.
Yep.
So great job. This is actually a perfect example of how internet culture can usurp the official government narrative, because you're not going to, until this all started, you didn't hear anyone in major media giving serious thought to the idea that he didn't actually kill himself.
You had God, what was it? The Veritas guys who got the leaked footage of the girl who was pissed, the ABC anchor, I think, who was, I had all of this 3 years ago. I had Clinton, I had Epstein, I had all of this.
Yeah.
And no, I couldn't do it. But now it's all out. And I didn't get my story. And she was pissed that she didn't get to prove that story.
I would be pissed too.
I would be pissed too.
I would be extremely pissed if I came to you and said, Matt, I got this really big story and it's going to blow everything up and stop a child rape. And you said, no. And I said, but I stream the show and you can't really stop me. And you said, yeah, but no. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'd start my own network.
I mean, that would have been I would never say no.
I know.
And we
it's
only
not,
really
it
have,
wasn't, as I was saying it, I'm like, you would never do
I'm
this.
not going to use him as an example because I don't want that attached to his name.
Yeah. But
if you had something on Chris Reynolds, and I was like, man, I can't let you do that to Chris. Like, he's our main sponsor. And then you're like, yeah, but this is what he did.
Yeah, but this is what
I'd be like,
did.
Well, we'll just get somebody else to give us $10 a month.
If we're like, this guy, I'm not going to do that.
No, don't do that.
I'm not going to do that.
Chris Reynolds has never done anything to anybody.
Chris Reynolds would never.
Chris Reynolds has done nothing but help people, to the best of my knowledge.
Personal injury attorney Chris Reynolds, attorney at law, angel of a man.
True. Angel of a man.
Angel of a man. We wouldn't have to not cover something that Chris Reynolds did, because it would be like really good. It'd be like, oh, did you hear that Chris Reynolds gave free rides to grandmas to get home with the groceries
Yeah, it would be Chris Reynolds gave rides to people who were too drunk to drive home on New Year's Eve because he didn't want them risking getting DUIs or hurting people.
Even though he's actually hurting his own business because they could drive and hurt someone and then they would need a personal injury attorney. He's literally going against his own financial interest to help you because he loves you that much.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying.
That's right. Chris says to take him down if he ever deserves it. And Chris,
that'll never happen because that won't happen because you're just, you don't deserve
perfect.
it.
I would let you know beforehand.
There's nothing to let him know. I mean, Chris doesn't do things wrong. So I mean, that's what happened in 2019. We may or may not have more episodes. But yeah, so this is going to be, so here's a preview for 2020. I'm going to be your vice president soon. And there's going to be a lot of changes that a lot of you may or may not be ready for. You know, I don't know if you're ready, is all I'm saying. Now, for those who missed the beginning of the show, where I laid out my 10-point plan, my verbal contract for an even better America, which builds upon Vermin's 4-point platform of free ponies, mandatory toothbrushing, zombie power, and killing baby Hitler. This plan is my verbal agreement to you. This constitutes a verbal contract with you, America, the American people, whom I love. And I pledge that all of these things will happen in the first 100 days of the Supreme Spike administration, or else I will resign and be replaced with Baby Yoda. Are you ready? Number 1, eliminating all federal taxes, tariffs, and fees, and replacing them with a lottery, where the winner gets to sign the Constitution and or the face of any politician of their choice. Number 2, also going back in time to kill baby Woodrow Wilson. Ultimately makes killing baby Hitler unnecessary, but we're still going to do that just to be safe, because you never know. Number 3, full legalization of recreational plutonium, a long time Muddied Waters platform that we have. And that one's serious. Number 4, free cheesy bread with the purchase of any federal explosives permit. Also serious. That is a serious platform. Number 5, developing bullets that, instead of harming you, do helpful things like relieve headaches and clear up nasal congestion, thereby finally bending the cost curve on healthcare once and for all. Number 6, this one is actually, I think, my favorite, which is why I wrote it. Number 6, requires police officers to sing the Barney theme song to anyone they arrest, along with their Miranda rights, and the suspect will have to be released without incident, without charge, if they cannot sing every part of the song in key, or in any other way do not portray themselves to be a realistic Barney. Number 7, right? Number 7, we will retrofit your ponies with 20 millimeter Vulcan cannons. Hashtag arm the ponies.
You're such an idiot.
Number 8, these are all real things, Matt. Number 8, Waffle Houses, every single corner. I do not care. I don't care if your house is on a corner. It's now a Waffle House.
Man, does that mean that you're going to knock out every single corner, huh?
All of them. Waffle House on Waffle House on Waffle House.
So there would be, like right here, there'd be 4 Waffle Houses?
Yes.
I'm down. Like, I know we can get them bad boys up and running in 72 hours.
If there's a hurricane, no one cares. Because you just go to the Waffle House on any of the corners.
Right.
Where do you live? Oh, turn at the Waffle House. Oh.
Wouldn't that be every turn?
Yes.
Okay.
GPS becomes super streamlined. Number 1, turn on the Waffle House, 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 turn next to the Waffle House. And my house is next to, in between the Waffle House and the Waffle House. Like, are there people that think this isn't a good idea? Sure. Why? Do you want to, is it safe to call that anti-Semitism? Sure, but I don't see the problem. I just want to say I don't see a problem. I don't see a problem. I don't see the problem here. So, and then number 9, right? Number 9 is we will be impeaching every member of the Supreme Court and replacing them with the janitor. His name is Reginald, and he is, of course, our king. All hail King Reginald. And then, of course, number 10 is just literally a badger. It's just a badger. The policy is a badger, Matt. Badger policy.
So good news. This Thursday, when you're not watching the Democratic debate because we aren't doing Demageddon.
We are not doing Demageddon. No.
We are not doing Demageddon.
No, we're not. No, not now.
For those of you who aren't watching the Democratic debate, which I assume is most of you, and for those of you who aren't at Star Wars, which I assume is slightly less of you,
Yeah.
there will be a new episode of the Writer's Block. First episode in a couple of months of the Writer's Block.
That's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it.
Aaron Nakamoto comes back on and joins me to discuss the curious case of Michael Edwards, who has been locked up in prison here in Florida since 1993 for giving cocaine to his ex-girlfriend.
The rest of his life.
60 years. 60 years. 60 years. Fun fact that little teaser from the episode. The judge that locked him up said, "I will see it that you will never get out of prison for the rest of your life." Later was convicted for a non-violent crime of soliciting sex from hookers.
Now, we don't like people being charged with non-violent crimes, but when that does happen
to a judge
who's been putting people away for the rest of their lives, well, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy. This is a preview of what my face is going to look like soon when I apply. Hey, everybody, I'm actually Spike Cohen. You think I'm Chris Reynolds? That's what it's going to look like when I get that. When I get that permanent makeup.
Chris Reynolds asks if the Writer's Block is still a thing. Yeah, it's still a thing. It's just kind of a special whenever somebody wants to come on and discuss something specifically with me, and is willing to work around the difficult work schedule that I've had recently.
Right. Yeah. No, it's good. I always love the Writer's Block. I am a huge fan of it.
I appreciate it.
I have.
You ever been on the Writer's Block?
Yes. Wait.
I don't know if you have. I know I've been on My Fellow Americans, but I don't know if you've ever been on the Writer's Block. I know Jason's been on the Writer's Block.
I have to have been on the Writer's Block.
You would think.
You've been on my show.
Right.
And I've been on this show.
And I've been on Jason's show. Or Jason's been on my show.
I think I know who your next guest is going to be. He's running for vice president. Yeah. Speaking of which, I have a special guest tomorrow on My Fellow Americans. Pretty exciting. I have vice presidential candidate for the Supreme Spike campaign, Spike Cohen, pictured here, discovering that he's going to be Vermin Supreme's vice presidential running mate. Just a little gay, Matt.
Dan Berman has been on both.
Correct.
Yeah.
Dan Berman has done the bifecta.
That's right. If he can somehow find a way to get on this show, which only one person has done.
Have we only had one? We had Josh.
Yeah, Josh is the only one.
Oh man, we should do that more often. So tune in tomorrow. Spike Cohen going to be on there, going to talk about his fresh new vice presidential campaign, really shaking things up for the Libertarian Party. Can he win it? Can he get the delegates he needs in Austin next year?
Are you interviewing yourself tomorrow? Because
to be the vice president of the United States of America?
Please tell me you're interviewing yourself.
Libertarian Party? Well, I am interviewing Spike Cohen. Why would I have put that there, Matt? Vermin Supreme's vice presidential running mate, Spike Cohen, pictured here being the running mate. So we're gonna have a great Wednesday, and then on Thursday, day after Wednesday, on Thursday night, Matt Wright, writer's block, Aaron Nakamoto.
With Aaron Nakamoto.
And then we will find out together.
Hopefully I find out before I leave so I know what to pack.
Right. We find out if there's going to be Christmas and New Year's shows. We're going to find that out because I'm going to press the issue of finding out.
So
but if not,
maybe possibly another show next week.
Maybe possibly another show next week, and if not, then I can almost guarantee you there won't be a New Year's one. But we're gonna find out. It might even just be a short one. I'm already negotiating, and we'll figure that out.
Let's not negotiate that because that's really hard for us to deliver on.
Right, it's a bad faith negotiation.
Yeah, that's a really bad faith.
It's a bad faith negotiation. It's gonna be a short episode on Christmas. And so, yeah. So, if we don't see you then, have a happy Merry Christmas.
Champion, Spike needs an apprentice-like media vehicle to increase name recognition. I believe this is very apprentice-like, except tolerable without as many obnoxious people.
We could have people on and fire them, though. I'm fine with that.
Oh, yeah. We just can't say you're fired.
We could just say get out.
GTFO.
GTFO. GT, write the FO.
GTFO. Just GTFO.
GTFO, because I have to go GTFO. It's like the worst. So if you don't see us, then have a great Christmas, Hanukkah, I think Kwanzaa, if that hasn't already started yet, and then New Year's, in whatever particular order you want to celebrate those, probably whatever they are on the calendar. And
Which
then
all the same week this year.
Yeah, they are. So there's going to be a lot of fun times at Walmart. And then first week Tuesday, right back here, first week of January, for the Muddy Waters of Freedom, where we will be doing it 2020 style.
We got that 2020 vision.
Get that 2020. We both got glasses on for that 2020. And then sometime we were going to have a very Coppinger holiday special, but we had some conflicts of schedule. And so we are trying to get a very Coppinger Ukrainian Christmas special. Ukrainian Christmas special. So we're going to see if we can make that work. So we will let you know Merry Christmas in Ukrainian. And yeah. So Matt, if someone were to want to find out more about the 10-point verbal contract with a verbal agreement for an even better America and other things related to Muddy Waters Media, where would they go to do that?
Well, if they want to know about the 10-point verbal contract with America, they could go to spike2020.com.
Oh, yes.
If
they wanted to do the other stuff, the Muddy Waters stuff.
If they wanted to do the Muddied Waters stuff, they could go to Facebook at facebook.com/MuddyWatersFree. Let me try that again.
Muddy Waters Media.
Yeah, they could go to Facebook at facebook.com/Muddied Waters Media. You could go to Instagram at Muddied Waters Media. You could go to Twitter at Muddied_Waters. You can go to YouTube at youtube.com/Muddied Waters Media. You can go to the greatest social media experience out there today, which is float, flote.app/Muddied Waters Media. You could find all of our audio at anchor.fm/Muddied Waters Media.
Nope. Muddy Water. Just Muddy Waters.
Just Muddy Waters.
Just Muddy Waters.
Anchor.fm/Muddied Waters. I really need to write these down.
Every time you're like, at Instagram. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the Anchor FM that gets me every time because I'm like, crap, is that Muddy Waters or Muddy Waters Media?
You could literally just write these down somewhere.
I know. You would think I would just have it taped right here. It hasn't changed in months.
Really? And if it did, you could just change it.
Could.
Yeah.
And you can find this and every other episode at muddiedwatersmedia.com.
Muddy Waters Media taking over soon, the White House, or at least whatever part of the White House the vice president resides in.
All official White House briefs will be given through Muddied Waters Media.
Yes. Official policy proposal right there. Actually happening. So guys, thanks again for tuning in. We will talk to you soon.
TikTok is Muddied Waters Media.
Oh yeah, TikTok. Nothing on there yet.
Nothing on
but
there.
That's going to be changing soon. Going to be changing soon. Going to have some fun.
Password.
So guys, thanks again for tuning in. We will either see you next week or next year. And where we're going,
we don't need roads.
But we do need badgers.
When the days get shorter and the sky begins to pale, when the winds are howling down the high-walled cobbled lane, I write my name in the sycamore leaves and sign it with a kiss. I'm coming home soon. The blue moon after next. When the night is hollow and shadows crowd the lawn, when the doors are bolted and the curtains are all drawn, you hear my voice in the creaking floorboards and hold your troubled head. I'm coming home soon. The blue moon after next. I am the thing that stands outside your bedroom door and whispers through the keyhole. The hand that knocks, the face you pretend you can't see outside the upstairs window. If I am not welcome, you can tell me. I'll disappear like mist. I'm coming home soon. I'm coming home soon.